Hi, so this is part 2 of a video about family estrangement, and in this video I want to talk about your approach to reconciliation, but I also want to talk about things that you can do if all of your attempts at reconciliation have been rejected. Hi, my name's Christine Conroy. Welcome to Happy Stuff and Fluff, a channel for women who are getting happy, living longer and growing younger. So yes, this is part 2 of a video on family estrangement. If you haven't watched the first video, please watch it here. In that video, at the beginning of the video, I talk about the fact that in terms of positive psychology, right up there at the top of the list of importance for your happiness and well-being is the quality of your relationships, in particular your close relationships. And of course, if you are estranged from your family or any members of your family, then that's obviously holding you back from achieving the happiness that I want you to have. Your happiness is my concern. And so in this second part, I want to talk about things you can do before you actually go into reconciliation, assuming that you've decided, you've made the choice that what you would like to do is reconcile this relationship. That's a choice that you have to make. Once you've made that decision, these things are going to help you. First of all, I want you to watch my video on CBT technique, the ABC model. Please watch that video. I will leave the link down below. This video is going to help you get straight in your own mind what actually happened to cause the estrangement in the first place. And then I want you to do this exercise. Now, whatever has caused you to be estranged, it could well have been a long time coming, and it's possibly going to take a long time to heal. These are questions I want you to ask yourself to give you a better chance at successful reconciliation. And it might take you time to do this, but please, it will be worth the effort. Okay, so this exercise, it's called just questioning your thinking. And what I want you to do, I want you to sit down with pen and paper, and I want you to list all of those thoughts that you have in your head about the situation that you're going through and what caused the situation. All of those thoughts that go round and round in your head the whole time, day in, day out, I want you to get them out of your head and write them down on paper. List them, number 1, number 2, number 3, and keep going until you cannot write any more. And then I want you to turn the paper over and walk away. Go and meditate. If you don't meditate, find something else to do that's going to take your mind off this. Read a book, go shopping, watch television, whatever it takes. And then return to your list. And when you do, I want you to look at each one of your thoughts, the thoughts that you've written down. And for each one, I want you to ask these questions and write your answers down. Is that thought true? What evidence do I have to back up my thought? What evidence contradicts my thought? Can I see this in a different way? What else might it mean? Now, if you can especially answer those last 2 questions, I think you're well on your way to an overall better understanding of the situation. That's a repeat exercise of what's in the video, but I want you to watch the video too. Now, you may not solve the issue, but once you start to question your own thinking, then it's going to open you up to seeing another point of view, a different point of view, not necessarily a right or a wrong point of view. That's important to remember. Okay, so more questions that you need to think about and to answer. In terms of reconciliation, can you acknowledge and own up to your role in the problem? And can you apologise for past issues? Now, when you watch the first video, or if you've already watched the first video, I mentioned that my mother and I, when we reconciled, we didn't discuss it. And that was the wrong way to go about it. That was the wrong way to go about it. For a full and more satisfying, albeit different relationship after reconciliation, you need to be able to do this, to acknowledge and own up to your own role in the problem and apologise for any past issues. Can you be compassionate enough to hear the other person's experience of what happened and not deny it? Accept their truth about it. You know, one piece of research I was reading, a doctor who specialises in family reconciliations, talks about the fact that when he's talking to the two people involved at different times about what actually happened, he said you could possibly be talking about a completely different experience altogether. You can barely recognise that this is the same story told by two different people. So I don't particularly like that term, your truth. This is your truth and their truth. But in a case like this, it's worth remembering that their truth is likely to be different to yours. Can you accept that? Can you accept that the other person may never conform to your way of thinking? They may never accept or never do what it is that you were hoping they would do, or behave how you would hope that they would behave. That may never happen. And this is when I was talking about values, personal values, family values, expectations of behaviour. It's going to take a big person. It's a difficult thing to do this, but all the time you've got to keep asking yourself, do I want this person in my life? Is it worth this? And the answer, of course, will be yes. If you've come this far, the answer will be yes. That's what you may have to do. Accept that they're never going to conform to any ideas that you might have. But on the other hand, can you set clear boundaries for moving forward? Can you talk about what they are responsible for in the relationship and what you're responsible for? So, for example, if you are a mum who's estranged from your daughter because of her partner, then you have to come up with some kind of boundary to be able to deal with that. It's those kind of boundaries. You're thinking about your actual situation and set clear boundaries around that. Do you want to be right, or do you want them in your life is something else. Now, I know that's going to fall hard to some people, but remember, this reconciliation it takes two to tango, and they are also going to be hopefully able to approach reconciliation asking these questions too. Now, I think if you can do those things, then you stand a good chance. It's not going to happen overnight. If it's difficult, if you think it's going okay and then it falls back a bit, you might need to try again. If you keep trying to reconcile and the reconciliation breaks down, it might be wise to contact a family counsellor. There's lots of them around, and many of them specialise in intermediary reconciliation of when families break down. There is no shame in asking for help in this. Now, it does take two to tango. What if all of your attempts to contact someone or to try to reconcile have been rejected? Some stories I've read during my research have been brutal. They have been brutal. You know, if you have been if you're separate from your child or estranged from your child, you don't even know why, there's been no explanation as to why, that is a very difficult and stressful place to be, and I totally honour and respect your pain. That must be very difficult. However, and you're probably not going to like me saying this, you have to stop banging your head against a brick wall. You have to stop heaping hurt on yourself. each time you try to reach out. Now, let's just say again, let's go back to mum and daughter, and not only do you not see your daughter, but you don't see your grandchildren either. And you may have been sending Christmas cards and birthday cards and presents and never had a response. At some point you have to make that decision. Do I continue to do this? But if you do not heap hurt on yourself each time because you're expecting a response this time. You need to lower your expectations of the outcome. Continue to do it if you feel it's the right thing to do and it makes you feel better in that situation, but lower your expectation of the outcome. Acceptance is very difficult of a situation that you don't like, but you have to accept what you cannot control, whilst being flexible and open and ready should it change. Now, if you've thrown all of your efforts, for example, into being a mum, and it's what you identify with, it's the only thing you've ever done is be a mum, then estrangement from your child is going to be traumatic. I want you to watch my video about dealing with trauma. I'll leave the link down below. Go through the exercises about dealing with trauma, because that's what this is. It's a traumatic experience. These things do work. I promise you, they will help you. And just as I had to expand my role from being only my mother's daughter, I mentioned this in the first film, you will also have to establish that you are more than a mum. Be curious about who you are other than a mum, and start to discover the person, who you are as a person, and find things that you want to do. Create a life away from this. Listen, this will probably never go away. The sadness of it will always be there. It's like grief. The sadness will always be there. But if you try to establish your own life in this way, then there will be times and moments of happiness. Whether or not the sadness is underneath, you will find moments of positivity that will help you to deal with it. Now, a difficult thing, what you need to do is to forgive the person who is ignoring you. I know. But remember, you are not forgiving for them, you are forgiving for you. Living with bitterness and resentment is only hurting you and not them. So you need to forgive them. You also need to forgive yourself. Now, regularly reading and reciting these two verses is going to help you with forgiveness, but I also have videos on helping you to forgive. It isn't easy, but with practice you will get there. Now, the Serenity Prayer, I'm sure you are familiar with. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. You'll know that part. This particularly applies to us, I think. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. Keep that around and read it regularly. Now, the next one that you may not be quite so familiar with is the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer. This is a deeply healing, age-old practice prayer for forgiveness, and it simply says, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. These words are healing words, and they will help you. Now, equally, if you feel you cannot deal with the hurt or the grief, you need to seek professional help. These are ideas that I talked about here that I've used myself through my own experience of estrangement. I also want to come back to the charity in the UK called Stand Alone. Contact them. They have sources. They also have a Facebook group. So if you are feeling alone with this, get on the Facebook group. But there'll be lots of support there from people who have experienced, if not the same as you, very similar. So that's Stand Alone, a UK charity now. Yes, it might be in the UK, but you will be able to access their Facebook group and obviously their sources and resources if you're in the US too. So please go to Stand Alone. I'll leave the link down below. And if those things don't happen, then seek professional help. One last word I want to say, that in all the research that's being done, I've forgotten who she is. I'll try to leave a link down below. But something they found in the research is that estrangement very rarely lasts forever. It very rarely lasts forever. So there is hope. Okay, I know I've only skimmed the surface with those two videos. I just wanted to give you my support and offer some comfort to you if you're dealing with this. You know, you can reach out to me either in the comments box or by email, and if I can do anything for you, for sure I will. Okay, I'll see you next time, and in the meantime, remember that on the Happy Stuff and Fluff, we're getting happy, living longer and growing younger. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.